OMG, bro. This is like my third voiceover. So watch me paint this blue self-portrait. See, this one I be like, content creation, it can be easy, but it also could be hard. Because I just feel like this should be simple. Why is this my 10th voiceover? I had to delete and re-record because I just don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, it's Tiara. Watch me paint this self-portrait. I decided I want to do something monochromatic. I want to paint something all in one color. And today that color about to be blue. The reason I want to do this is because I haven't been really consistent in my studio practice. I haven't been getting in the studio like that. And I keep telling myself, well, you just got a job. Like you getting used to the schedule. You feel me? It's like, girl, I can't accept no excuses for myself at this point, because you say you want to loft. You say you want to travel worldwide for art, but you literally have to be the one to make the moves. Some opportunities could fall into your lap, but also you have to give space for that opportunity to come to you. And usually for me, that's when I'm posting consistently on social media. The internet can be a crazy place. It also can be a beautiful space for creatives, because anybody, anywhere can see you, find you, and work together, which I love that. So I'm trying to be more consistent in my practice, and the best way I thought about doing that is to just sketch something, paint something that didn't require a whole lot of conceptual brain power, a lot of brain thinking. And I really like this selfie that I took the other day because I just thought the angle was cool, the lighting was cool. So I'm like, let me paint this. Let me do something easy. As you see here, real time, I done forgot how to watercolor paint, because ain't no way I use this much water and it's just dripping everywhere. The reason I love watercolor is because of those drips, because of those washes, because of the way it bleeds into the paper. But I don't really have no control here because I'm using too much water, so it's just dripping everywhere. And it's too early for that, because the thing with watercolor and watercolor paper is made to absorb a lot of water. It's made for that. That's why you use watercolor paper versus sketchbook and any other type. But with me, I'm using too much water too early, so it's going to get tired. And when watercolor paper gets tired, it starts rolling up, it starts disintegrating, because you rubbing it too much with your brush, because you got it too wet. So you're gonna have to let it rest. When you let it rest, that means you have to let it dry up before you can use it again. And in this case, I'm not planning to come back to this tomorrow. I'm trying to finish this in one go, because it's a sketch. This will warm my hand up and make me think to myself, okay, I painted something this week. I ain't about to come back and paint on this little piece of paper. So I was like, okay, you making it too wet. We can't even finish it right now because you doing too much. You're doing too much. So I started using some Indian ink for the black parts. Started trying to put some of the details in. So that's the glasses, the piercings. Tried to add a little bit of shoulder so it's not just a floating head. Nothing bad with a floating head, but I'm like, if you want to draw this picture, draw some of the details in it. Like, what? I got bored doing the one color. I know that was part of my challenge that I wanted to do the one color. I got bored because my palette only have 2 blues and a watercolor palette. So I started using other materials. You saw me use the Indian ink already. Right now I'm using the oil pastels. And I love oil pastels because it's like using a big crayon. It has that kid-like quality because you just drawing straight pen to paper. You feel me? When using watercolor, you gotta have a little bit of wrist action. You gotta have a little bit of knowledge. With oil pastels, you just drawing. And it has a nice feel to it if you think about being a kid again. But also, I really love the Market Makes because it has that crayon quality, but you can blend it out. It has a chunky type of feel that I really appreciate when paired with something like watercolor. Because watercolor is very fluid, it's very flowy because you're painting with water essentially. And it can be controlled, but usually I like to let it do its thing so it helps me from stiffening up. When I start trying to put too much detail in something, depending on what it is, in my practice, it's gonna look stiff because that's not the way I work best. I work best when it's loose and it could flow. So watercolor helped me achieve that. And then oil pastels, I could kind of pull it back in a little bit and add some different marks where at the end, it has a very visually interesting piece because your eyes have different places to look at, to appreciate, and to rest in. So if you have something painted completely in watercolor, that could be a beautiful piece, but you could run the risk of it all being the same speed. which to our eyes and our mind, it's like a little bit boring because it's like, okay, everything is painted in the same brush. It's all the same. When you have something that's a different quality, it makes you appreciate the opposite side better. If you have a thin mark and a thick mark, you can see the variety in the two. If everything thin, then it kind of is just all the same. There's nothing to pique your interest to look for a difference somewhere. So when you're using a different medium, it's just forcing your eye to appreciate the different marks that's in the painting. And since I was using one color, I really felt like I needed that to help me be interested in it. So yeah, I use Indian ink, watercolor, and then oil pastel. One thing, if you don't know nothing about art, you cannot really layer nothing on top of oil pastels because oil and water don't mix. You got to put that water down first. And when you layer on top of it with that oil pastel, I hope you know you ain't going to put nothing else on top of that because it's going to roll off. It don't mix. So here, I'm just adding a little bit of detail, bruh. I'm kind of tired of working on it at this point. Like, I'm just bored. But I said to myself that I wanted to finish a piece this night. So I'm staying committed to the cause. Like, I don't know how to finish this. So I'm just trying to add a little bit more detail, a little bit more definition. But you see, I'm just trying to add a little bit of blue in different spots. I'm like, girl, this not even doing nothing for real. Like, you just doing stuff. Like, really. I will say at this point, I'm liking how it looks aesthetically, but I just feel like it's unfinished looking. So I'm like, what can I do to the background to pop it out and really make this face that I painted stand out a little bit more? Because I really liked how the face turned out. I like how the accessories sit on the face and everything. I'm like, okay, this kind of cool. Thinking to myself, okay, you know how to draw, you know how to paint still. A little sigh relief that happens every time you do something kind of cool. So this is me popping out the portrait by providing that solid background, so I have some really good contrast in the face, or you can see the contrast in the face a little bit more clearly. And I'm like, ooh, this coming some heat. I like it. But yeah, this is a finished product. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you into that type of thing. Follow me on Instagram if you into that type of thing. But yeah, peace.